Well, I saw you accepted my friend request.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right. Getting ready to have a live Enlightened conversations, everyone. Hello, hello.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I see. You're live now, so I should share this.
Yeah.
This is what I see. It's like Escher. It's like forever window within a window within a window.
Oh. It's not supposed to be there. There now it's changed. There's changed.
It looks very meta. We're having really meta conversations here.
I know. You know. It just shows everything that's on my screen when I'm doing the stream. It's also streaming on YouTube right now and Periscope, actually.
There we go. There we go. Okay, I'm. How do I share this? Yeah. Okay. Live now. Ask us questions. Smiley face. Okay, cool.
I'm gonna edit it and put love and relationships coach Janelle Marie Vital.
Sure. Or anti-shame warrior. That's another thing I like to call myself.
We'll let you talk about that as much as you like, but we'll put the general that people know what that is, love and relationships coach. We'll put that so people know.
That's good. Yeah.
So they're not in their minds like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay. We're good. Let's do it.
Sweet.
The last bit of technology that I will do before we start is I'm going to point my phone at the screen so that Instagram can watch us.
Great.
It's my favorite little, for anybody out there on Amazon, this little $2 tripod. I don't know if it's $2, but it's really cheap, to where it can just house our phone. It's my favorite little toy.
Nice.
All right. 1 second, everyone watching, just going live on Instagram. Don't want to leave them out.
Mm-hmm. While he's doing that, everyone watching, maybe we should just take 3 deep breaths. Just really feel the present moment. I'm going to do that. Join me if you want. All right, I'm here, got my feet on the ground, I'm in my body.
You're Love with Janelle on Instagram, right?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
All about the love.
To join podcast live. All right, we're ready. Let's do it. Thank you for being patient, everyone. Thank you, Janelle, for helping me with a couple of little Zoom challenges that were slight.
No worries.
I'm now resolved.
The least I can do.
Okay, and I'm going to mute anybody that tunes in after this with us here. I'm going to mute. Doesn't interrupt. Okay, now we're good. Awesome. All right, let's do it. Recording. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and have a really fun conversation with today's guest. As you can already see, have love and relationships coach Janelle Marie Vital, and really excited to chat with her today. I came across her Instagram page not too long ago, just a few days ago, and immediately saw the love and light she was sharing with her audience and reached out to her, sent her a little voice message and asked her if she wanted to be a guest and have a fun conversation with me. And that is what we're going to do today. So without further ado, for me, I want to introduce you guys to Janelle, and you can share with the audience so they're more familiar with you. And by the way, Janelle is in where I actually grew up. She's in Oakland, California right now, which is awesome, which I just realized last night. Without further ado, for me, I want to introduce you guys to Janelle, and if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all this good stuff.
Totally. Hi, everybody. I'm Janelle. Grew up in the Bay Area, and What I do is I help people feel more empowered to be themselves in their intimate relationships. So I'm really passionate. As I said earlier, I'm an anti-shame warrior. So what that means to me is I want people to feel like they get to show up as 100% themselves in this world, especially in love and sexuality and intimacy. So I love helping people look at what is holding them back, for asking for what they desire, for what they truly want, and helping people get it. So that's my passion, and I am really excited to be pivoting a lot of my work into the online realm because, we all have to. And I'm taking this as an opportunity from the universe to say, okay, how do I get this message in front of more people? Which I can and I have to now because I can't work with people in person here in the Bay anymore. So interesting timing. I'm trying to see it as an opportunity.
I love it.
That's me in a nutshell.
I love it. You said multiple things there, which inspired me. First of which, I was excited to talk to Janelle because, what she helps people with, as far as just being able to embrace whatever it is that's important to them when it comes to love and relationships and sexuality, and not thinking that they have to be in some box that everybody is this way, because we're all different. It's my favorite topic, really, to talk about. Human connection is my favorite part of life. And so I always love having these conversations and just letting them flow where they flow. And I love what you just mentioned, as far as how, right now is a time where all of us are being asked to look inside or look at what we have going on in our lives and ask ourselves how we want to see those evolve. And for you, it's doing more stuff online, and for a lot of people, it's that as part of the answer, for sure, because we don't have the option to be out and about as much as we did. So for me, it's a really exciting time to know that things are evolving, and for us to get to ask the question on what we want to see change. And I think it's awesome. So I love that you mentioned that too. Question for you, how did you, because I always am curious, there's, some people out there, we all have different awarenesses throughout our whole life. We become aware of more things, and light bulbs come on in different areas of life. And then for some, they decide that they want to share those things that they become aware of with the world and help people doing it. For you, what did your journey look like, where you I not only love these things that I've become aware of for me, but also I want to share this with other people. How did that look for you?
Totally. Well, I've always been really interested in seeing myself reflected in other people. For me, that is the best way for me to grow personally. And I think everyone has different ways that they need to grow. Some people grow through tackling work projects, or personal motivation projects like winning a marathon. And for me, personal growth really comes through seeing myself through the lens of other people. And starting at a young age, that always looked like having really deep, emotionally deep relationships with people that often were romantic or sexual. And I never really understood kind of the normal, strict rules and boundaries of you're only allowed to have one deeply intimate relationship with somebody, and then everything else has to be capped in a certain way. That just never really fit me. And I grew up in a Catholic community where there was no alternate to that, to feeling there's a certain way to see yourself reflected in others. So I went on quite a journey of trying to figure that out, including experimenting with polyamory, having multiple meaningful primary partners, which was really, really hard. And learned a lot from that. It's not quite for me at this point in my life, but who knows, it might be again in the future. I've also shaved my head bald and hiked 5,000 miles across America to go on a super introspection journey. And through doing that, I realized how I show up in relationship is my deepest passion. I need to study more about this. So I studied at the Somatica Institute, which is an amazing, amazing school for understanding who you are as a relational being, by understanding your body and your emotions. And that's why I had us all do deep breathing earlier, because there's only so much we can understand with our heads. It's getting into your body to unlock what's there. It's excited me so much, especially as an embodied person who hiked 5,000 miles across America. So I brought together all these passions, and now I work with people on really tapping into the information inside of them in order to have better, more connected, intimate relationships.
I love it. You said so many things right there that have me excited to touch on. First of which, like, my goodness, like, who's hiked 5,000 miles anywhere, like, total in their whole life? And it sounds like you did it in one life experience, which very interesting. And also, I just love how you just put that, because it's a great reminder for all of us as far as all of the life experiences that we have, whether it be sexual or non or whatever they might be, is what's giving us the clear picture as of today on what we desire in our lives, what we like, what we don't like. Like, Janelle wouldn't be able to voice what she just said as far as, I had tried polyamory and it's not for me right now, maybe in the future. All these things, the life experience is why she can say it like that. Or else, we can say like, oh, this is not for me, but do we really know if we haven't, experienced? Maybe we can take other people's experiences and be able to make a pretty clear decision on what's for us in a lot of areas of life. I don't need to know that I don't want to like jump off a mountain without a parachute to, I don't remember. That's just like a thing for me right now. Some people love jumping off of mountains with hang gliders and parachutes and all sorts of things. So we don't need life experience for everything, but all the life experience that we have had is the reason why we are as clear on the things that we're clear about today. And I'm so pro life experience. If anybody has just a little bit of a nudge, like an energetic nudge to want to try anything, I think it's a great idea. As long as it's not going to cost me my freedom. If it's not going to cost me my freedom, then I'll do it. That's kind of my
thing. Something about that?
Yeah.
So I've been doing this online class for women on really tapping into desire. And what I've really learned from my experience and what I'm seeing with the women I'm working with is that so much of understanding what you desire is just being open and curious to that little seed of just like what if, that little seed of curiosity. I mean, like that's really at the root of then tapping into like, what's your purpose? What do you want? What's your passion? Like all that is this like big picture stuff. It's so hard to tap into unless you are open inside your body to the curiosity, that little seed, just being like, oh, I noticed something is drawing me towards that. I want to investigate that. Even if it's just Google searching, it doesn't have to be jumping off without the parachute, right? Even if you just like are open enough to understanding, like that little kernel wants you to look at it, like that's the core of everything. That's the core of relationships, understanding what you want to do with your life. So much there.
Absolutely. I'm so for what Janelle is saying right now. Like this is number one me. Knowing that if I have questions about things that I want to evolve in life, like right now, how we mentioned at the beginning, really good time for that. I love knowing that I could ask the universe, and like I say words like God, universe, love, all that is, source, spirit, infinite intelligence. I use all these words interchangeably. So whatever it is that you relate to out there, like I even had a guest that just refers to it as just nature, so whatever it is that you refer or, relate to, awesome. I just know, I love knowing that we can ask this source any question that, is important to us, and the answers will find us. Like maybe not right that second, but just that curiosity that Janelle just mentioned, like that asking of a question, and it doesn't have to be like verbally asking out loud, you can, but just even the curiosity, the inquisitive nature will allow you to be open to things starting to show up in your life that my best advice, and Janelle's saying it, beautifully, to explore it. If it's something that you've asked about, and then all of a sudden, if you're asking about, how can I do something to generate money online, and then all of a sudden, like you see like opportunities where it's like, that's interesting. Explore it,
totally.
Even if it's just a Google search, like Janelle said. So I love that so much. And so with your work,
I was just gonna say, like, and now, like, we can frame this period of time as this like really horrible time in human history, which it is in a lot of ways. But for a lot of us, this is also can be a cocooning of just like, okay, wow, like what are all the things I've been curious about that I've been suppressing or ignoring up to this point that like suddenly there's some spaciousness to investigate. And I think that's really exciting.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm very, very not only optimistic, but exciting about where the world is evolving to right now, because people, anytime we have any challenging times in life, in whatever area of life, it ultimately, it's challenging during the experience of it. Like we're humans. So, it's rough to look at something that, 100% of us would say, that's rough, and not feel some type of way about it. And at the same time, that's what sparks the desire for, okay, I know I don't want to experience more of this in my life or in the world. So this is what I do want to experience. And for those of us that can focus our attention and our energy on that this is what I do want to experience, whether it be personally or for humanity, that's how we start to see things start to evolve and start to see physical manifestation in our life and for humanity. that all physical manifestation is if we put our attention on something, that's where we're putting our energy, and we put energy on anything long enough, you're going to see physical manifestation. And so that's what I'm excited about right now, because there's so many of us asking and like wanting to see different things. And I think all of us want to be able to be free and to be able to interact with other humans. And I joked with Janelle last night on the message. I've been saying this a lot. Like, I'm happily single, and we're going to definitely go into some relationship stuff here in a second. And I'll share with you guys why I'm happily single. But I feel like I was playing like a fun, like conscious game of musical chairs, where it's like, you know, the universe is bringing awesome people into my life, and, you know, I'm being able to be super open and honest with them about what's important to me, because I'm clear on that for me. So I'm happy to share. And then for those that are in alignment with that, we get to enjoy life together. And then all of a sudden the music just went off, and they said, no more interactions with other humans. And I'm like, wait, I don't even know when the music is coming back on, and I don't have a chair right now. So,
totally. I'm going to ask you a question about that, because I feel like you are so bright and, like, I mean, energetically so bright and so optimistic, and everything you just said about, like, hope for humanity, because this is a time to, you know, humans innovate when in times of crisis. And I agree intellectually with everything, and, like, I feel, I hear all that, but, like, in my body, I feel all this, like, the stress of the time too. Like, both things are true at once. And so I'm wondering for you, like, as someone who's really optimistic, but who's also single and kind of just like, oh, okay, now I'm isolated. Like, what else? Like, what are you feeling beyond just like that hope, like that optimism? Like, are you struggling at all? Like, are you having any? Just like, tell me more about that.
This is fun to share. So I've gone through different waves of this, because now we're like, it's been about 3 weeks here in Miami, and I know longer for some of you guys, but about 3 weeks in Miami to where things haven't been regular. The last 2 weeks, it's almost like, because I saw the increase in people just not wanting to vibe. Like, for me, like, I know some things about health and wellness that allow me to maintain wellness. Just, I haven't been sick in over 8 years, you know, so this is like my strongest area of life. But I see what's going on, and I see why it's important for us to do social distancing. Like, I understand like what's going on, so I'm not like fighting against or trying to preach against like this. I'm with the flow, to the greatest extent that I can be, and I'll share with you how, you know, for me, I allow some wiggle room as I share what I'm getting ready to share right now. But I noticed the last few weeks that it was just like the people that I would encounter out in the world, because I go on runs every day. It's like kind of my only like interaction with the world and with like humanity, as far as outside. And for me, how I've lived my life for a long time, since I was 13, I was the kid that me and my best friend used to go out to Southland and Bayfair Mall, which Janelle knows. I've never quoted the exact malls there, but she knows those malls. And we used to go to those malls, and we used to see how many phone numbers we could get in the mall. And there was just competition, like me and my 13-year-old friend. We didn't have any money, have anywhere to call these people, but this is how I've lived. So since then, anytime I see someone that I'm interested in, typically I'll say hello. Like, if you were around each other, like, I'm going to normally say something. So I still like live this way, but I've noticed the last few weeks, like, most people not wanting to communicate at all. It's just like, and I'm very respectful of the distancing. So now I'm communicating at a distance. So I'm not like invading people's space at all, but I'm just noticing that people aren't like down to vibe. And like 2.5 weeks ago, people were a little bit more willing. So anyways, my point is, I realized that's why I related to this game of musical chairs. I'm like, shit, like the additional new options for me to enjoy my life, which I love living on a planet with 7.7 billion people, because I never feel like there's any type of lack of options. Like, anytime the universe can bring someone awesome that I didn't know existed 5 seconds ago, and then now all of a sudden we could be spending the rest of the day together. And I've had like many situations happen like that in my life. And it's fun for me to live that way. It's super adventurous. So it was a rough patch, like the first week of like realizing there's nothing coming for me. Like, there's not like, and I don't know how long this is gonna last. And it's very interesting. Like, see how specific I want to get right now. So before it like got to the point where like there was a few days where it was like I'm like sad because like, dude, I'm not gonna have sex for a minute. Before I got to that, the universe did bring me somebody that I'm gonna be super just open with you guys. The universe did bring me someone that I had a really cool like relationship with. We were very honest with each other, last year. And she just messaged me out of the blue, and I was like, what are you doing right now? Like, come have a drink with me. And it was just, so she came have a drink, and that put myself at ease for a little bit. But that was like 15 days ago. Who's counting though? And so there was a period in there between in the last 15 days that I'm like, damn, I don't know when the next time is going to be with any human. So it's been interesting, but I've been at peace the last 3-4 days. I've been at real peace, which has been good. I told some of my close friends, my guy friends, I was like, this is a good time for me because I'm seeing that I can go without, it's all good. Like I'm just at peace. I'm doing the other things. And so I released it. And here's what I know about manifestation and about life for everybody out there in whatever area. When you can know what it is that you desire, but then totally release it and not be like attached to it, not be worried about how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, that's typically when things manifest really quickly for us. So like yesterday, I was just going out for my run. I was in an amazing mood. Like you guys follow me on like social media. I posted all sorts of stories yesterday. I was just like running my mouth and I'm going on runs. Like I was just in an amazing, doing spins in the middle of the street. Like I was just in an amazing mood yesterday for no reason, just because I chose to be, which is just another caveat. Like a lot of us, we like to be in a good mood based off of what's happening in the external. And we're not in a good mood if something that's happening in the external is not what we like. But if we can control our energy on the inside and let that reflect out, we could just be in a good mood just because we choose to. And that was my vibe yesterday. And I had released all this other stuff. So the universe brings someone into my path. I was going to the store. I was going to run to the grocery store. Like my stories had a gap from 6 p.m. yesterday to like midnight because I met somebody who I was going to the store that was just sitting there. Someone that I'm super attracted to, like totally my type, just sitting right there. And the first hour of the conversation, which we did I sat down and we talked, we were vibing, was from 6 feet away.
6 feet apart,
that was the first hour. I won't say that the whole conversation stayed 6 feet apart. We both are very aware when it comes to health and wellness. We can go that route if you want. I've been talking a lot about this, where the frequency of well-being is the frequency of well-being, and if that's the frequency that you are, illness and disease can't live in a body that's that frequency. So I'm not preaching that a lot because that's going to be a personal like vibration for each individual out there. And if you're attracted to my page, you'll see some things about that, but it just is what it is. That's why I'm respecting everybody's process and not telling anybody what they should or shouldn't do. But I'm very happy. I have a quarantine friend now. So yeah. So it's just like the flow of life. But I'm very happy that I learned the lesson that I can. And I knew I could, but it's just like it's been a long time since I've like had to just be like, damn, I don't know when the next time. Like that's not as common in my experience. So anyway.
Yeah, what I learned when I was long distance hiking is every single day nothing would go according to plan. I was just like constantly bombarded with stressors, and what I learned from that was to like feel my stress, just like acknowledge the feeling, and then be able to like shift my perspective to be like, okay, so what do I do with this situation now? It's like there's some way that you just kind of learn how to adapt on the fly, and a big part of that is also like really feeling your feelings and not being in denial about them. And you're not like, oh yeah, like I don't need anyone, it's fine, I'm really enjoying being alone. It's like, yeah, I would really like someone, and I can't do that right now. And so like finding a way to like shift your attachment to something by really letting yourself feel the disappointment that it's not turning out exactly as planned, and then finding an alternate solution. And what I've been doing right now in terms of dating is I have a partner, we're really, really tight. We also occasionally hook up with other people, and sometimes we'll date other people together. Nothing deeply emotional, which is like why I say polyamory isn't really for me at this point anymore. But yeah, like for both of us, our libidos are really activated by feeling like we're invited to be sexually connected to more than one person. That's just how both of us are. And so in this time of quarantine, I'm in a really different situation from you since you're single. I'm only seeing the same person over and over again in person, which is in one way wonderful because we're getting closer. But it's also like really hard for us to want to have sex, which I think a lot of people are experiencing, where it's just like, oh, I feel like I'm with you a lot. And so what we've been doing is having really fun, like virtual flirting, virtual connections with other people. Mostly me, because I think that's really fun. And he's like, that's not that fun. But I think it's really fun. And so like, just like you, like people from the past have been kind of like coming out of the woodwork, and I've been having like really, really fun, like flirty, yummy, sexy dates with them online. And then I just like feel so rejuvenated. I feel like beautiful and like just like vibrant again. So for me, that's how I've been handling it, as someone who, again, needs to see myself reflected in more than one person in order to like feel truly myself and truly alive. So that's been my strategy, and a lot of the couples I work with, I've been telling them, because it can be really edgy to imagine like opening up your relationship and kind of like experimenting with another person IRL in real life, right? But this is actually a really cool opportunity to use the internet to like flirt, or like to explore. Like maybe you interact with a cam girl or something if you've never done that before, and just like feel like, what does that bring up for you? What does that bring out of you? It's like gives you interesting fodder in your relationship to explore. Like, oh, how does that make you feel? Like, oh, that's exciting. It's also kind of scary. Like, let's talk about it. And so you can like get deeper through that exploration of like trying new things and kind of pushing yourself up against an edge. So that's how I've been dealing with it.
I love it. I love this conversation so much. I'm going to start having a lot more of these guys out there. So be prepared to hear me talk a lot of love, relationships, and sexuality. It's just so much fun. It's my favorite part of life. And here's why. And here's what made it the biggest challenge of it for me, as I described what I just described. Once I realized that, energy frequency can be vibration, can be measured in the moment. Like in 2020 and beyond, like I've been to events now where I've had the EEG brain scanners on that could literally measure our vibration, our frequency in this moment. So it's like science, like behind. It's so interesting. Like I said, Noelle, think of a time in your life where, they said, think of a time in your life where you were feeling like really down, like a rough time. And I could see like where my frequency was because as humans, we can actually think about past events and bring that frequency into the present moment. We're the only creatures on earth that can do that. Animals aren't out there in the wild. The gazelles aren't be like, damn, yesterday this lion was after me and I've been so scared and anxious all day today. They're just grazing today. So only us can do that, side note. And then also they said, think of a time where you just felt like on top of the world, like victorious, like on the top of the mountain. And I saw my frequency there. So it can be measured. But here's the interesting thing about energy and frequency for all of us. It's always in the moment, which is most important. But the momentum of it, because energy never stays the same. So say we're doing something that we really love. Say it is sexual or anything out there that you really enjoy doing. You can allow yourself to be totally present on that moment, not thinking about how am I doing? How are they doing? Would I have to do this stuff later on? Or I should be doing this instead? Or should I really be doing this? Or all those questions, like that's not going to allow your energy to go where I'm getting ready to talk about. But if you can be present and just see how much you can connect, how much you can enjoy connecting with this other human being or human beings and allow it to, climb and climb and climb. Even though we have words like bliss, euphoria, ecstasy, nirvana, and in English we don't really have words that describe frequency more powerfully than that. But the cool thing about frequency is it can go beyond that. And so if you allow the momentum to take you, it can go there. Once I discovered this, and for me, there's just no other part of life that I've discovered yet, and we're all different, but that I can go to these frequencies other than like really cool sexual connections and just letting it vibe up there. So for me, that's just by far my favorite part of life. And here's the interesting thing for anybody to know out there, because when Janelle just described her sexual libido being open to different partners, I feel the same way, and here's why. Because every time we ever bring our energy into any situation, sexual or not, you're bringing the frequency that you are in the moment. They're bringing the frequency that they are in the moment, and together you guys are creating a frequency together that it's just a different energy. It's a different feeling. So each time, it's always different. Each sexual experience in and of itself is different. But when you're with a different human, because it's like such a different energy frequency that they're bringing, an energy signature that they're bringing, it just always feels different. Like I haven't felt two sexual experiences in my life that were the same, not even close. Like it's always different, and I can allow myself to go most of the time to bliss and beyond if we're both like allowing it to go there. And I like to ask something, Janelle. I like to say, when we have had a fun like experience, it's like, is there anybody on the planet that you think is having as much fun as us right now? Because it can only be a tie. Like when our energy is going, like there can't be out of the 7.7 billion, there can't be too many humans that are having more fun than us right now. Like that'd be hard to believe. So yeah, I'd be so, and I always say the next sentence is, I'm so happy for anyone that is, because even having as much, because who wouldn't be happy for someone that's having like an amazing experience? And that's what I want for everybody. That's why I'm so like, in my experiences, I'm super honest and open about what's important to me, all the stuff that I just described. And I want them to do whatever that is for them as well, because if another human being comes to me and says, I just have one of my favorite experiences of my life, sexual or otherwise, aren't I going to be happy for them? Heck yeah, I want all you guys out there listening, whether I just want us all to just enjoy our life, because when we get to the end of our lives and if we get a chance to look back at the experiences that we remember, it's going to be the ones that have the strongest energetic frequency, and not all the blissful ones. It could be some of the traumatic ones as well, if you choose to think about those also. But it's not going to really be the cool conversation that you had at the grocery store. Like, that's a cool conversation, but it's the strong frequency, the strong energy that you're going to be remembered. So I just try to create as many moments in life like that as humanly possible. And that's just personal. I'm not saying anybody should or shouldn't do that. So.
Well, you know what I notice when I'm listening to you, like, you have a very spiritual slant, and what I'm interpreting as, like, for me, I really think about this in terms of, like, the body, and I think it's just different personality types. But for me, I feel more empowered when I think about, like, how can I create a calm nervous system that calms everyone else's nervous systems, versus you're talking about, like, vibrations. And so I think we're talking about the same thing, but, like, you know, I've been studying a lot about somatics, like, meaning of the body. And so you were talking earlier about the gazelle, right? And the gazelle is just grazing. But actually, the gazelle does, I read a book about this, they do hold tension in their bodies. Like, after a gazelle or a zebra has been chased, what actually happens is they're like, their nervous systems are so riled up, and then they go like this. And they, like, shake it out. They somatically take that tension and they move it, and then they go back to grazing. And so there's a way that they are physically moving their nervous systems back into a neutral state, and we can all learn from that. And so I think if you're the kind of person who loves feeling like a connection to spirituality and connecting to, you know, to source or, like, vibrations, like, that's one languaging choice. And I noticed when you were talking, like, the way I usually frame things in terms of languaging is about somatics and about, like, how do you get your nervous system grounded? What are the ways you can empower yourself through physical movement, exercise, dance, sex? And then how can you calm the nervous systems of everyone around you by taking control, empowering yourself to calm your nervous system? Because every human being is responding to each other's nervous systems, just like you were talking about with vibrations. We feel each other, and that's not just, like, some spiritual thing. It's, like, literally on a nervous system level. If your nervous system's like this, the people around you are feeling it. Guaranteed. So, like, part of what's really powerful about this time is, like, how can you gain some tools to help your nervous system relax so that you can be an energetic leader for the people around you, helping the people around you calm down and relax. That's a beautiful opportunity for this time. And that's, like, meditation, breath work. Like, what are the ways that you can get in tune with your nervous system? One thing I'm about to do is a mirror meditation, which I assign to all the women in my office. 10 minutes of just staring at myself in the mirror, like, making eye contact, connecting with myself, breathing deeply. I said to the women, you can do it naked, you can do it clothed, but that's one opportunity I think we could try right now in terms of learning how to regulate your own nervous system by just being with yourself and creating a new relationship with yourself. And all of your relationships are going to benefit from that, you know, even though we're in this time of social distancing, because you're going to take this skill on to the rest of your life once you can regulate your own nervous system. So vibrations, somatic, nervous system, it's all the same. I feel like we're flowing. But just, like, I wanted to point out that there's different language, but it's all the same. It's all the same concept.
100%. I love that you said that. That's why I like having these conversations, because, like, I talk to people from so many different backgrounds, walks of life, parts of the world, and we're all speaking about the same. We're all speaking about being able to bring ourselves back to peace, back to connection, being connected with self. Like, we're all speaking of doing like what the gazelle was doing. When they shake out their energy, they're bringing themselves back to peace so that they can go back to living instinctually. Because, you know, when we're, like, in fear, in a fear state, and, like, our body's all tense, then we're not able to allow ourselves to live instinctively. We're not going with the flow. So I love that you said that. All that I like to make sure that people are aware of is, like, for me, like, I don't demand of myself being, like, blissed out or, like, any of these things. But for me, I am very aware of, because what used to be my greatest weakness and what caused a lot of depression maybe a decade ago, and not like consistent depression, but it was just like a roller coaster. Like, some days I'd be happy, some days I wouldn't be. Like, you would call me a moody person a decade ago, because what I didn't realize is, A, that what's going on inside is what's reflecting outside. First lesson. But more importantly than that, for me, I didn't realize that the longer I said I'll be happy when I have all these things externally, health, relationships, finances, whatever it was for any of us, that's a great way to be anxious about, well, how am I going to get to that? You know, because I don't have it right now. So in the present moment, that can cause a lot of tension and a lot of depression versus being in the present moment and just just enjoying it for what it is, just being what it is. And so for me, I demand of myself, not saying anybody out there should or shouldn't do this. Peace is where I like to like chill. I like to be chill. I like my vibe to be calm. It's the reason I meditate in the morning, because I want to start my day at a nice peaceful chill, or anything that has more momentum than that. Because all I was talking about by being present and letting momentum carry us up, that's just the energy of momentum, the momentum of energy. And that's what all of us have access to where, I mean, who doesn't like to feel like blissed out, just having the time of their life? Like, that's awesome. But it takes like momentum, and we can get there from being at peace. And then all of a sudden, like, we have a really good idea. Now we're excited about something. And then now we're involved in something that we're passionate about. And now we're like showing love to, another person, or just to the world, or to ourselves. And now, momentum is carrying us to where it's like, whoa, I'm having the time of my life. And you could be doing that, doing anything. So I love it. So much fun.
What I want to say about that is that I think it's okay to feel shitty sometimes. And I think there's a lot of pressure, especially in your audience or my audience. Like, they're self-growth people, they're personal growth people. Like, they always want to be, getting better, like getting more, enlightened, whatever. And what I see a lot within myself, but also with the clients I work with, is there's just so much pressure all the time to feel good. And it's like, part of feeling good is also feeling shitty. It's like also just recognizing that life can be a cycle, and that's okay, as long as you're not shaming yourself. And I see this a lot within myself and other people, and maybe you've experienced this too, is like, oh my God, I feel so much shame because I feel bad. And like, I should, be taking control of my life and doing more meditation so I don't feel bad. And it's like, how about you just let yourself feel bad and just notice, come into the present moment, feel the uncomfortable sensation in your body, and know that you're going to be okay. Like, you're just going through a cycle. And earlier when you said, yeah, wouldn't you just be happy for like people, that you're connecting with, that they're also connecting with people? Or you said something like that. Like, yeah, like, it brings a lot of joy to see like the people you love getting joy, but it also, you might feel jealous. And it's totally normal. And both things can be true at once. You can be like, wow, I notice I'm having a reaction to seeing somebody I love flirting with someone else, or having a great experience that I'm not having. And like, I'm just like, okay, I'm just feeling that in my body and just sitting with it and being like, yeah, of course I feel kind of uncomfortable. And I'm also happy for that person. Like, both things can be true at once. Don't shame yourself if you ever have like hard emotions. Like, it's okay. Like, just be present with them and know that life is full of cycles sometimes. So I just want to say that, because I see a lot of shame around needing to be like perfect or enlightened and always feel good.
I'm so happy that you said that. I love when people come on the episode, and because for me it's just about awareness. Like, I don't care what any of you out there choose to do, like, for you, because I can't choose for you. Like, it's just, I want everybody to be aware enough to where you can choose for yourself. And what you just described was just so aware, as far as just noticing it. If we can just notice where we are, and again, not make ourselves wrong or shame ourselves. If we're shaming ourselves, then, or making ourselves wrong, we're just going to feel worse. Like, that's just a great way to have momentum continue carry us down to where we feel even worse. Absolutely. So if you can just notice it, and maybe even be excited that you noticed it, because there was a time in all of our lives where we didn't. And we just feel like crap, and we don't even understand why. And you don't have a choice if you're not aware of it. You just kind of, life is more living you than you living life. And that's why I do what I do, because I just like to have people have the light bulb come on to where it matters to them what the present moment frequency is. That's all I care about, is like what my vibration is, my frequency, my energy is, my mood right now. And if it's one where I can like ride with it, then great. And if it's not, I'm not going to like beat myself up for it and feel worse. But I'm just going to know like the things that Noelle needs to do to allow myself to go back to peace, whatever that might be. It could be so many different things, like for you out there. I mean, whatever. We all know things.
Why don't they teach this in school? Seriously.
Right?
Like, this should be just like basic education, like how to take ownership for your emotions and just like be present with them. Like, come on. We need to get that into curriculum, like in elementary school, right?
That would be very useful. More useful than algebra and geometry and all these things that I'm not using today.
Seriously. I feel like taking ownership for how you feel and not judging yourself is like so the key to having a really functional, enlightened relationship, or just a conscious relationship. I feel like the word enlightened, like, again, might carry some connotations of, if you're not here, you're failing or something. At least like that's where like my wounding goes, like, is activated. But I feel like in order to have like a really connected relationship, you have to own your feelings, which means you say like, okay, I'm having like I notice in my body like something feels tight, something feels flushed. I feel this bubbly, excited feeling. Like you own your feeling and you say like, oh, I notice I'm feeling this in my body. You don't say, hey, like you made me feel like shit to your partner. Like you need to stop. Or like, oh my god, you made me feel so amazing. Like I'm so like, yeah, you're just everything is just a reaction to that person. Like they are not actually doing anything to like cause your feeling. You're having a feeling because of your projections of this other person. And so like part of being a really healthy connection is being able to like see yourself or you see like this is what the other person is doing right or wrong. It's like how are you reacting to what's happening, and then how can we create new healthy boundaries based on that, based on your sense of self-understanding. And that's why I wanted to be taught in schools, because I feel like all of our relationships would get so much better, and I don't even mean romantic ones. Just mean like we'd have better leaders of this country if people could take ownership and be present with their feelings, whether that's good or bad or like hard or uncomfortable or positive feelings. Just like being able to be with them and own them and then talk about it instead of reacting to them. Like that is the crux of like having conscious connections with other people, in my opinion.
You just inspired me to say 3 quick things, and I'm so excited that you shared all that. So first off, like for any of us, like if we can realize that as human beings, all of us have the and before I go there, I almost forgot the first thing, but it always pops back into my mind. The first thing Janelle said right at the beginning of this episode, we're all mirrors for each other. So like when we find ourselves blaming someone or pointing out something that we don't like in another person, there's some things to ask ourselves about that exact thing for us. And this is just a great place to start. Like for any wherever you are in your journey out there, anytime you find yourself pointing out anything that you don't like in another human being, I would ask the next question is there any of that going on in me? And the answer always is yes. Also, when you're pointing out something awesome in someone, like, oh my gosh, like you're so happy, you're so loving, that's reflecting from you too. They're a mirror for you also, just showing because we can't see in another what isn't readily available in us. Like it's just a reflection.
Right.
So I'm so happy that you brought that up. Second, for all of us, like we can have so much compassion. This is why I have so much compassion for anything anyone is experiencing on the emotional scale at any time, because as human beings, we can all feel loving, joyful, happy, blissful, sad, depressed, angry, everything in between. Like for all of us, like it's all part of the human experience. And so I'm not going to condemn or judge another human being that might not be having their best day. I've had days like that for sure. And if I haven't, I probably will, like for all of us. So I just know that we all have this capability. So I can, send them love. I might not go be involved if I'm not called to be involved, but I can still send them love and not judge them and not send them that energy, which has me join them in that frequency, because you can never again point you're going to be lovingly condemning someone. That doesn't work. so that's the second thing. And the third thing, it's always in the moment. Like I just always like to make sure, and I'm so happy that you mentioned even the title of this podcast, Enlightened Conversations. The reason that it's called that is because in the moment of being connected, like Janelle and I are, and empowering the audience and empowering each other and just sharing just love and light with anybody that is attracted to listen, in these moments, all of us are enlightened. And in the moments where we're like fearful, blaming, being upset and angry, it would be called angry conversations. So it's always in the moment, and that's for all of us. Like I never allow people to label themselves around me. You're not an anxious person, you're not a happy person, you're not an enlightened person. Sometimes is the answer to all of that, because your energy is never going to be.
Do you think that you can be enlightened and angry, or do you think I'm like
not at the same time? Opposite? Not at the same time. You can either be angry or you can be enlightened. Because we're just labeling this with words, but it's a frequency. So that can be measured. So at this moment in time, all of us are a frequency that can be measured. Label it whatever you want, but don't label it happy if you know that you're talking shit to someone. Like you're not, that's just not a frequency that you are being right now. And it's how you're being. Like a lot of people love to say, be yelling at someone, but I love you. Yeah, if you took a lie detector test, you would probably pass it that says you love them. But right now, you're not being love. That's not what love is, being. And that's not the frequency of love. When you're slapping someone in the head, and I'm only doing this because I care about you. Right now, you're not being that frequency.
So I think you're gonna experience anger, especially when injustice is happening to you or the group of people you're a part of. And so what you're saying is of course you're gonna feel angry, but you're not acting out from from that place of anger. You're not being vindictive. You're not reacting to that. You feel the anger, and then you make a conscious decision about, what do I do with this now?
If you're conscious of it, which is what's so important that you brought up before. If you can be aware of your anger and say, okay, right now I'm feeling angry. Now you can do something about it. If you're not aware of it, that anger can turn into rage really quickly. It's just more momentum. And rage, you can act out, something. You can act out from anger as well. And those actions are going to be filled with anger. Your words are going to be filled with anger, and the results that you get are going to be pleasant for you in your life. And so whenever something happens out in the world and it's come from a place of rage, it might be sad that this happened to this person. I'm not surprised that it happened, though, because those are the results we get in life when we're acting from a frequency of rage. You get rageful results. Same thing on the flip side.
Yeah.
When we're in a good mood, like the thoughts that would come into our mind, we're never going to get a depressed, angry thought in a happy vibration, a happy mood. It's just not going to happen. And vice versa. You're never going to get a happy thought when you're in an angry, rageful vibration. So it's cool to be aware of it so that you can trust, okay, I'm in a really good mood. Like, I've been needing to call this person an important phone call. I'm going to call them right now because I know the thoughts that come into my mind are going to be cool, good mood thoughts. The words are going to be good mood words. And then the results of that conversation will be best case scenario that I want it to be. And that's all I care about, is that we can have the awareness. Choose whatever you want from there. I'm not going to choose for you. We can't choose for each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you can ritualize your reaction when you're feeling like that rage, when you're feeling anger, when like the negative feelings. Like, instead of reacting, like you're saying, you don't pick up the phone and call the person. You're like, I'm pissed at you. It's like, how do you create like a ritual space around that feeling? Like, you feel your grief, your mourning. Like, maybe you write poetry. Maybe you can create from that place of anger. But then, like, once you're back into the place of feeling calm and like having reflections from that place of anger, like, that's when you like really take the big action that's outward facing.
Absolutely. My advice is, if you know you're in a frequency that you're just not really enjoying, don't talk to other people, for one, because that's just not who you truly are. Like, you're speaking from a place of, you're going to probably be apologizing for the things you say afterwards, because that's just not who you truly are. You're not connected. Like, we're never truly disconnected, but whatever you believe in out there, like, you're just not connected to it. Like, as when you're speaking out of rage, like, that's the ego self. That's just a different version. So just know, if you're going to speak to another person, you'll probably have some little things to mend and clean up after that. I wouldn't even speak to yourself in those moments. Like, all I would care about, if I were you in your shoes out there, because this is all that I do for me, if I'm aware that my energy is anywhere other than where I like it to be, all that matters to me on the planet is allowing myself to return back to being at peace. And I know all the ways.
What I'm worried about when I hear you say that is, like, there's a way that being vulnerable with somebody who you want to be connected to or who you're intimate with is so, so powerful. And so, like, I don't think you mean this, but I just want to clarify to people who are watching that I don't think that means, okay, so you're having some anger, you feel like shit, so you don't talk about it at all to your partner. But, like, you would say, like, wow, I'm really noticing I'm having a big reaction. Like, I feel a lot of fear right now. I'm feeling anger. And, like, you're speaking to that feeling for the sake of getting closer to the person that you're intimate with, or for building intimacy. And, like, what I see, and I think, like, a lot of men especially experience this, where they're like, okay, I gotta be cool. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm strong. Like, everything's all right. And, like, actually, it's okay to have a very strong emotional experience and share it with your partner, but you're not reacting at your partner from that place. You're not like, I hate you. Like, why don't you ever take out the trash? You're like, wow, I really see, like, I'm noticing I'm feeling a lot right now. Like, I feel really scared. I'm afraid of losing you. I feel, like, resentful because I've been doing so much around the house. Like, I'm really feeling my feelings, and they're hard. And your partner can be like, wow, thanks for telling me. Thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate that. It makes me feel closer to you when you're real. So, like, I just really want to clarify how important it is to be vulnerable about your feeling instead of reacting from that feeling or disappearing. And because you, like, go feel your feelings in private, and then you're like, yeah, it's cool, I'm all right, it's all right, I'm really strong, I'm really nice. That's not intimacy.
No, but pay attention to what Janelle that was a beautiful example that you just gave. Pay attention to, because all I care about is which direction is the momentum of our energy going. Is it going from being angry down towards rage, Or is it going from being angry to I'm a little bit frustrated about the difference in how she described it, like the yelling at the person or the I'm feeling this type of way. Like she's already calming her momentum to where it's like, yeah, she's not feeling like happy and joyful in those moments, but she's also not going towards now she's going to go to rage, yelling, and maybe throwing something at them. Like it's just like there's a difference. Our energy is always moving, so if you could be aware of that, and an even better strategy if you've noticed, like I noticed I'm feeling this type of way, like. I definitely want to have a conversation about this, but I'd like to get back to like peace, like to to reground myself here before we have this conversation, because this conversation is super important to me. Like just give me a few minutes, and like I would love to have a conversation when you're ready, and like give them space as well.
And then you go outside and you like break a bunch of bottles if you need to, but you're not throwing anything at your partner. You're like, okay, I'll be right back. And you go outside and you scream or whatever. Like, that's okay. It's okay to let the powerful, angry emotions flow through you, as long as you know that that's what you're doing to heal, and you're going to come back in a more calm place in order to have that.
For sure. I don't care what you do out there. If you need to do whatever you need to do, go do it. I've had people tell me that they go in their bathtub. I've had people tell me they go in their bathtub and just cry for a minute, and they get all those emotions out and they feel good. Like for me, like I can meditate anytime. I can play some music. I listen to personal development. I can go out in nature. There's so many things that I know that I can do. I can just remind myself that even though I don't understand how this situation is working out right now, I know that it will. Just that optimism like helps my momentum slow. There's so many like ways that we can do it. But the most important thing for me, and if anybody out there, if this becomes most important to you, to only communicate from at least a place of peace, so that you can just be truly who you are and like speak from that truth. Like then it's your communication is awesome from there, because just if you can be your truth, then I mean whatever the person responds, like I don't know. If I was in a relationship, like if anybody's around me, like there's only one option when it comes to hanging out with me. So we're either going to play in these energies where it's like fun and we're excited, we're enjoying ourselves, and if we're going to be communicating and around each other. And if we're not, we're just going to reconvene when we both can be. Like I'm not making you wrong. I'm not making me wrong if right now it's not possible. But we're just going to reconvene when we can. I'm just not willing to talk to you from I'm frustrated and angry. It's just not going to be pleasant for me. I'm going to feel bad for the things that we talk about. And you're not going to be happy. It's just not going to be good. So why put yourself through that? You can if you want to.
Good knowing. You have good self-awareness and boundary setting. That's important.
Yeah. It's just if we choose to live life, because we'd like to talk about like, synchronicities or something, that parts of life that we can never predict. And a lot of times we think about like the cool, like, the cool things that happen, like, oh, this is such an awesome experience. And we all love those, the things that we can never predict that are happening always in our lives. Like a lot of times for the people that you're meeting, that you guys are in relationships right now, for most of you couldn't have predicted how that was going to happen. You met through a friend of a friend, or you went to this specific place and all of a sudden you met, or you never thought you'd meet someone online and you met them online. Like it could happen in so many different ways. And normally it's a surprise to us, and it's like a fun surprise. So awesome. I just like to remember also that the dramatic parts on the movie scene, even while we're experiencing humanity right now, those are synchronicities too. We couldn't predict any of that either. And so there's synchronicities on both sides. So if you want to have more dramatic synchronicities, just go live in the world in rage and anger and like be projecting that out there. You'll have a lot of drama on your screen. There'll be some rough days out there. And it just is what it is. Some people, that's just what you choose. I just want people to be aware so that if you're choosing that, don't be surprised if like you just had like a dramatic like couple scenes in your movie when today you left the house in a bad mood, everybody you spoke to in a bad mood, like you're speaking to yourself in a bad mood. Just don't be surprised when it's kind of a shitty day. So,
totally. Yeah. I'm all about helping people really choose, like to consciously choose their path, their truth. So I'm all about that. I have a question, Noel. I have a question about comments. Like, do we want to check and see if people had any questions before we start to wrap up? Maybe like on the Facebook or something?
We have been flowing for a minute. I have fun talking to you. I have a question that I want to ask you specifically about your stuff.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, did people have any comments?
So normally, guys, you guys will be able to join us on this Zoom and ask questions. Let's see.
I don't have any comments on my end, so I guess no one has any questions. Everyone's already enlightened who's watching this. Good for them.
Sometimes. That's the answer for all of us. Sometimes. Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. Labeling does not go down when around me, because it's never true. Sometimes. It's just right now. What are you being right now? And that's all I care about for me or for any of you guys out there. Choose wisely.
Labels have been a big subject of conversation in that virtual women's group I'm doing right now around like tapping into your authentic desire, because a lot of women have been asking, when should you identify as something like, monogamous, polyamorous? When should you identify as like hetero or heteroflexible or whatever? And I feel like identity is really, it can be really important to put a label on something if you're looking for your tribe and you want to find other people who like specifically call themselves this label. But in general, I kind of agree with you that I think that labels can be really confining and they get you stuck in these headspaces where like you're not really free to adapt and evolve, and we're just constantly changing. Like who I was 5 years ago is so different than who I am now and who I'm gonna be in 5 years. And people have this weird discordance where they think, oh, I've changed so much, but this is who I am, and I'm not going to change much in the next whatever 10 years. But actually, you just keep changing. So I don't know. Yeah, I agree that I think labels can be a bit restrictive in terms of allowing you to follow that seed of curiosity we were talking about earlier.
For sure. I'm so happy you brought this up. Like, all that I care about is to know, as of today, all of us are more clear as far as what we desire than we've ever been because of all the life experiences leading up to today. And we are going to all evolve continuously because guess what? Today we're going to have more life experience, tomorrow, the next day. So a month from now, we're going to be even more clear about areas of life where we're like, ooh, I know I want to see this evolve. So that's a forever thing, which makes it awesome to be a human being because we're just going to always be that way. So for me, what's most important that I give to another human being is that clarity at the very beginning, to be honest about what I know to be true about me. Not trying to just be like the best, how some people choose to do in relationships where they just want to be the best version of them or like what they think the other person wants to see so that they can impress the person enough to have whatever motive they have, whether it be to sleep with them or to have a relationship with them, to have that accomplished. And then like the true stuff that you already knew to be true that you just didn't share with them comes out over time. And then it's just like, you deceive me and like, now what's this? So that's a life experience too. That person now gets more clarity as far as now I want to definitely attract someone that's open and honest. And they will in their future, relationships. But for right now, what I want for anybody is just to remember that there's 7.7 billion humans on Earth, and no matter what it is that you're clear on right now that you desire, whether it be monogamy or whatever, like you can attract that. So for me, it's just important for me to tell people that, like when I'm with you, like I'm 100% with you, total presence. Like I just want to see how much I can enjoy life with you as a human being. If we choose to hang out again tomorrow, awesome. If we choose to hang out again next week, awesome. Like it's not promised to either of us. So when we get there, if we both want to vibe, then awesome. But I just want people to know that like I'm not looking for a monogamous relationship. I say that right off the bat. And there's been some people that says, well, no, well, I am. And I feel like if we, go there, then it's going to be, I'll get hurt. And I'm like, I mean, we're both attracted to each other, but it's just not what they want. And we don't want the same thing. So it's all good. And so that's what I want for everybody. Just be honest about what you want and don't have the scarcity mentality like, oh my gosh, if I'm like honest about it, then I can't attract, what I want. Like, yes, you can. There's plenty of people out there that want what you want.
Totally. Well, I'm curious about the other question. You said you had a couple other questions because I know we got to wrap up soon. What were the
like couple other things you have to wrap up? So you say that you have to wrap up when you have to wrap up. So.
Okay. Well, I'm open to like a couple more, conversational tidbits, and then I got to run for another meeting.
That's what I sense from you. So all good. Most of these conversations go like 45 minutes. I've already like vibed with you longer, so I just can tell. I can tell I'm having fun.
It's been really fun to flow.
Yeah. No, for you right now, what I'm always curious about, like it's April 4th at the time of this recording. So what are you excited about in life right now? What do you want the audience to know? Like, what do you have going on in Janelle's world that you're excited about?
Well, I'm really excited about this opportunity to create more online programs and more online information to help people understand themselves better and manifest their true selves in their intimate relationships. And so one thing I'm literally about to launch is this great quiz I made on how to understand your personality type for dealing with stress, and then how is that impacting your intimate relationships. Because I've been studying this guy, Ron Kurtz, who founded the Hakomi Institute, and he developed these 8 character strategies that he noticed like people tend to have these similar reactions to like childhood incidents that inform how we react for the rest of our lives. And so in this time of stress, how are we just like, we're going to these knee-jerk reactions sometimes, such as like, thinking like coronavirus is a hoax, or like being so paranoid you're reading every article, or you're holding yourself up in your house and like hoarding a bunch of food. There's different ways that we're reacting that also impact how we're in relationship with other people right now. And so I developed a quiz and I made a free guide that I'm going to have available on my Instagram, which is at Love with Janelle. And Janelle is spelled Jane with an L. So I'm really excited about that because I want to give people more resources to understanding how they react to fear and stress given the enormity of what's happening right now. And just like give people tools to figure out how are they interacting with their partners, ways of coping, how is that meshing, how is it not meshing, and how do you overcome that so you can love each other better in this hard time. So that's what I'm really excited about at this moment.
I love it. I have one more question for you, Janelle, but first I want to say to everybody out there, I highly recommend you, following Janelle, because the energy that you felt from her this whole conversation, like you can be sure that everything she's creating, like she just mentioned with the quiz and Enlightened coaching, all these things are just going to be infused with the energy that you felt from her in this conversation. And you could tell like right off the bat, like even how like she was doing that when we first started, like before I even introduced her, she was like dancing around. You could tell how like full of energy and just passionate she is about what she's doing, which is where you want to be if you have an energetic pull as far as I want some clarity or some evolvement in this area of life. Like go be attracted to people that like have that energy, that are passionate about it. There's definitely some clarity there for you. So highly recommend you guys follow Janelle, and if you're inspired to like go further and like work with her, do it. Like it's just a good life decision. The last question I have, Janelle, and I really appreciate you sharing all your love and light and your energy on this. It's been fun to flow with you. This would be very impactful for people. Share this episode out there. If you guys are watching live, hit the share button on Facebook. Super easy to share on Facebook, and you'll impact somebody for sure. The last question I have for you, just knowing that the internet is likely going to live for a pretty long time. So someone could see this right when it's released in a couple of weeks or 50 years from now. Hello, people, 50 years from now. Janelle and I are still here thriving, so look us up, say hello. But anything that you want to share with humanity, could be anything, any subject, any topic, whatever flows out of you, that anytime they hear this, you feel will just make a positive impact on them, anything that you want to share.
Well, the first thing that comes up for me is what we were talking about earlier, of the importance of owning your emotions, of feeling the somatic reaction you have inside your body when you're having a feeling. Maybe that's tingling, hot, heat, a cold feeling, a restricted, tight feeling, and being able to really name, like, I'm having a reaction, and not reacting from that, and not being like, okay, I'm angry, I'm going to throw this at you. Like, that's why war happens. That's why political bullshit happens, because people react from this ego place, like they feel their stressful feelings, and instead of being like, wow, I notice I'm having this feeling, okay, I'm going to breathe through it and just be with it, and then act from a more calm place, like we were talking about. I feel like the future of humanity depends on us really being able to own our feelings, tap into them, be gentle with ourselves, and not react from the place of our stressed out negative emotions.
I love it. Awesome advice. Rewind and listen to what Janelle just said again. Like when you guys have access to the rewind button. You guys live can't do that, but hopefully you were paying attention and rewind when the episode is up. That's awesome. I love that advice. Just so good, and I'm happy you brought it back to that. And that's some fun new language that I don't think I've used on this podcast yet. So I'm happy that the audience is going to be able to hear that, and I love the example of the gazelle. I could see it. And I love that that's the example that I use a lot when I'm talking about bringing past into present moment. So now I get to like use that part as well, which I for sure will, as far as the shaking it out and then going back, because it's so true. Like it's such an important part of the process that I just go to the next day. Like I always, when I use the gazelle example, I always say the next day they're back to being instinctive. But it's because like before that, they shook it all out and got back to being at peace. So that's awesome.
Exactly.
I love it. Well,
Noelle, it's been so awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me and wanting to talk. This has been so fun. I feel very jazzed.
Me too. A conversation, like I said, I would have wanted to have with you anyway, and just happy that I'm a recording snob, so I like everything to be recorded and shared. So happy that you wanted to do this, and for you guys out there, definitely sending you guys just tons of love and light and positive vibes and healthy vibes and happy vibes. A happy body is a healthy body. Virtual hugs are definitely needed. I had my first hug yesterday, Janelle, in 2 weeks.
That felt good.
For sure it did. So, I mean, it's definitely, look out for your single extrovert friends. Reach out to them, say hello, like check on them, make sure that they're good. And the introverts, you guys as well. But just the extroverts, like we're just used to a certain amount of human interaction that is just different right now. So we're all good though. Everything is working out for us. I'm constantly affirming that everything is working out, and I'm excited for all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Share this episode, subscribe, and like and comment. You can't comment on podcasts normally, but on YouTube you can. But do all the things you do to make it easier for people to find, review it, all these things, and I appreciate you all. We'll talk to you guys soon on another episode with another awesome human like Janelle Marie. With that. Talk to you guys soon. Awesome. All right, I'm going to stop the stream and I'll say bye to you, Janelle. Bye, live humans.